Hey, greetings. This is Mark coming to you from Baker's Green Acres. Today's the 15th of May, 2022, and we have a pretty nice day. It feels to be about 75 degrees or maybe even a little bit warmer. Kind of nice. And I'm out doing something that I thought would be kind of interesting. This is a pig pasture. This is this is my grow area. I've shown this all the time, but every time I do this, it's just is neat. And I really get a kick out of doing this. But I had pigs on this field. This is 100 by 100 all winter long. I put them in here in the fall. There was turnips in here when I put them in the fall. And then they were on here all winter long. So they spent the winter digging out frozen turnips and, you know, all that. And there was quite a few of them in here, but then we worked them down. So when I moved them yesterday, there was only 2 left in here. And when I mean working them down, we actually shoot them right out here and then haul them over to the butcher shop and take care of them over there. So I don't know how many we did, probably 15 or so that were started in on here. And then the 2 that were in here left, I moved them over to field number 1, and there were some smaller ones in there, so that's where they are now. And when I got them off of here, I just came through here. Let's turn this around. Just came through here with the tiller, and it's a 3-point tiller on my trusty tractor. And I left it in the fluff mode, so I left that gate up on the back so it would be nice and fluffy. And that goes down, 6 or 8 inches. That's about it. And fluffs it up, but that's about as far as I need to go. It doesn't get packed down any more than that with just pigs on here. If there was cattle, it'd be a different story. And so it looks really nice and fluffy. I am not going to plant it today. I'm going to put a little bit of lime on it tomorrow, the next day, and then run over it one more time. And after I do that, then I'm going to put field peas in here, right? And in 6 weeks, they'll be bushy. They'll be nice and bushy, and they'll be about ready to put the pigs on. They germinate in cooler soil temperatures, so now is the time to do it. Even though we have a kind of a warm day today, we're still having pretty cool temperatures at night. So this looks nice to me. There was a lot of manure sitting on top of the soil when I started. When they're out here for that length of time, you know, everything that they eat, they're just dropping it out here. It was sitting on top, and now it's been turned in. It didn't smell out here before. It doesn't really smell out here now. A little bit of smell when I turned it up, but it was a nice, pleasant smell. And this is the field that I planted last fall in rye. And I was at a function, an organic gardening function, and the gal that was giving it showed where she had planted some rye, and she said, I do this because I know Mark likes rye. Well, I really like rye, and you look at this, and how can you not like rye? Look at this. I mean, the only thing growing right now is the lawn. That's it. Well, dandelions. We got dandelions over there, but it hasn't been warm enough. We haven't got the garden planted yet. It's still getting cool at night, but look at this rye. And it's only about halfway. Only about halfway where it will go. So yesterday we had a 1/2 inch of rain that dropped, and this rye was sitting here waiting for it. And at the base of these plants of rye, there's a lot of pig manure that I turned in just before I planted this. So this rye is able to take that nutrient and just really run with it, you know, with a lot of water. So I did something to give you an idea of what we're dealing with. This is how geeked I get about this. Oops. Okay, so these are the rye plants. Let me throw it down there so you can get a look at them. And I pulled up about a square foot and I knocked as much of the dirt out of them as I could. And then I took that bunch in the shop and I weighed it. Okay, I'm going to pick it up here because I want to take it over and throw it in with this group of pigs so you can see that they do like it. They have other food in there. I've already fed them, but this is pretty fresh, so I think that they'll like this. Now, the field that I pulled this rye off of was 100 feet by 100 feet. It's the same as this one here, 100 by 100. All right, there's a hut in here for them, and it doesn't look like much going on over here. Well, it isn't, because they've been over here all winter long, so they've taken everything off. But now I'll give them this rye, see if they like it. Yeah, they like it. They like it pretty good. So, while they're chowing down on that, let's just do a little figuring here. If we've got 100 by 100, that equals 10,000 square feet. I just pulled up from 1 foot 2.18 pounds. So let's just call it 2, because there's probably a little bit of dirt in there. I knocked it out as much as I could because I wanted to be accurate. So 100 by 100, that's 10,000 times 2. 20,000 pounds of forage is in that field right now. It's sitting there right now waiting to be used. So the whole idea of livestock is they will convert carbohydrates into fats and proteins. That's the whole game right there. You know, if we wanted to eat that rye, we could, but we'd much rather have pork chops and sausage and bacon and stuff like that. A little bit of rye, it's not bad. I don't know as we can actually live on it though. So that rye at this point is about half as high as it's going to be. Those plants were about 18 inches. They still are going to come up probably another 12, and then they're going to head out. And when I say head out, I mean they're going to have a grain pod on top, and it's rye. It's actually a pretty good grain crop. If we were going to, normally the way this is grown is it's sown. They let it mature, and then they'll go through with a combine and only take the grains off, the individual grains. Everything else just gets left. And then they'll come back through and bale that up for straw. There's other uses for it, but that's basically it. And so you're kind of taking just that grain and feeding just that grain to pigs. I don't know if that's a smart thing to do, because if I did a calculation on this field, 10,000 square feet, and I'm getting per square foot, I'm getting, you know, a few ounces of grains times 10,000, you're not going to have much to really feed them. But this way, I can put them in there, and I'll probably wait about, I don't know, probably about 2 weeks before I put them in, because I want this to be up. I want it to be up as high, the maximum amount of forage there for them. They'll eat the stalk, the leaf, the roots, the grain pod, everything. They'll eat the whole thing. And they will turn it all into usable fats and proteins. Now, I think that there would be an argument there, though, that, well, it's going to take them longer to feed out because they're not going to gain weight as quickly on carbohydrates, you know, in the form of leaves and stalks as they would on just grain. Yeah, I guess that's true, but I don't know is that amount of time is worth it to me in this traditional model. Now, maybe in an industrial model where you got to get those animals in and out quickly, yeah, I guess, but that's not what we're doing anyway. We're going to have an animal that's eating forages that are grown on really healthy soils, because doing it this way, the soils get really healthy. They're full of nutrients, they're full of life, and they just get more nutrient dense and more life filled as time goes by. And I think we get a better, well, I know we do. I mean, I've got the best quality pigs that you can get, the Mangalitsa pig, but then you load them up with a lot of chlorophyll and exercise too. I mean, they're outside and they're exercising, which puts a lot of hemoglobin in their blood, so it courses through their meat and it makes the meat nice and dark red, and you know, then the fat is just bright white. So it really looks good, and it really is fantastic to eat. Probably the best. It is probably the best, but it has to be done properly. They have to be able to be pigs. You know, if you're just feeding them grain, it's sort of like feeding a kid just cheese puffs all the time, and you know, let them sit on the couch and watch SpongeBob, I guess. That's kind of what it's like. That's exactly what it's like if you don't let them forage. Exactly. I mean, trust the science. Trust the science. So I'm going to let this go, and instead of 20,000 pounds being out here, if we let it go to 4 pounds per square foot, we're going to be up 40,000. It usually tops out right around 5. We'll have some spots that'll go 556 and some that'll be a little sparser, but I usually figure about 5 pounds with this crop. On what I'm going to plant here, I only do it once a year. I only put field peas in once a year. And I've never actually pulled them out and weighed them, but it's a field pea is sort of a flash crop. When they're ready to harvest, you need to harvest them right then, because if you don't, the stems become brittle and start to restrict, and the plants start to die. The pod is still there and it's still usable, but you want the pigs to be able to get everything that's green they will eat. This field right now, if I turn this camera around, you don't see a blade of grass out here at all, because you know, they get fed, but they have the rest of the time to kind of cruise around and look for something to do. And if they see a single piece of grass sticking up, they will snip it right off, and then they'll go down, they'll take the roots out. I've watched them do it. They clear out every bit of quack grass that's in here. They are never going to get it all, but there's not a lot in here. Now, if I did nothing on one of these fields, because I've tilled it up this way, I mean, the thinking is no-till is a good thing, because no-till doesn't bring seeds to the surface. I'm not sure if I agree with that all of the time. Some of the time, yeah. I mean, if you're going to do row cropping and all you want to do is have in that row nothing but carrots, okay, I could kind of see it. It's a little unnatural, but I can kind of see it. But in this scenario, some of the seeds that are in this seed bank could be I don't know how old the earth is, but they can go way back, way back. I was going to say they could have been manured out by a dinosaur, but I don't know. I don't want to go down that road. But is that a bad thing to allow them to germinate? You know, I don't think it is, because we get some supposedly weeds that come up here that are really virulent. I mean, they grow and they put on some weight, and they provide a lot of forage for these animals. So every now and then I'll till a field like this up and I'll leave it. I'll just leave it, and we'll have a lot of stuff come up that we didn't plan on coming up. In the last 2-3 years, we've had plants come up that we had to go to the internet to identify them, because we had not seen them, right? And you know, that's kind of interesting. You could get something really interesting that comes up that could be really beneficial to the farm. I guess it works the other way too. You could get something that's really bad coming up too. But there it is. I think it's kind of interesting how this works. It took a while to set this area up, but now that it's set up, the the gain to dollar outlay is really good. We make really good gains on this because I will, after they get through with this field, there won't be anything out here. I'll plant something else, and I will continuously do this all summer long. So we actually do grow a lot for the pigs, and it brings your cost of production way down. So your profit per pound of pig meat is way up there, and it's actually pretty good. All right. Boy, it is bright out here. Anyone can farm.